Pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Oh, we'll get started here. We have a fairly lengthy agenda, so call the order, roll call, Ms. Snyder.
Osborne,
Here.
Bueller,
Here.
Bentley,
Here.
Jones. Here. Kushner.
Here. Council minutes for 3/25 of 24.
Move to approve.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Adoption of the agenda as presented.
Move to approve agenda as presented.
Osborne,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. 5.1 is a second reading of an ordinance for action tonight. An ordinance annexing certain adjacent territory into the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located east of US Highway 13 and south of Northeast 200 Road, presented by Barbara Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is an ordinance for a second reading on your agenda this evening. We had a hearing 3 weeks ago on this at your March 25th meeting. This is concerning the voluntary annexation request that's come forward from Brady Commerce LLC to annex approximately 438 acre parcel on the east side of the Brady Commerce Park into the city of Warrensburg. You also have an item on your agenda this evening for a request to zone that property light industrial. If it is annexed into the city, you'll have a separate hearing on that request here in a little bit. We have included in your packet some verbal comments that were received by city staff. We did not receive any written comments per state statute. But we did receive the verbal comments that we've put into writing, included in your packet, from Douglas and Tanya Willig at 221 Northeast 401 Road, who had concerns that are listed there in the packet. Staff has recommended approval of this of the annexation, and Tracy Brantner is here this evening representing the applicant. If she has any comments. Now or
No, she can,
it's whether or not you want comment now or if you want to with the the zoning later.
you guys have a preference?
I don't have a preference.
Okay, we'll wait for zoning then.
Okay, thank you.
Now we need a motion for the second reading. Motion moves. Said ordinance.
To adopt. Osborne,
Yes.
Bueller,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
6.1, first and second readings of an ordinance. An ordinance declaring the results of the election of one council member for a 3-year term at the general election held on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Ms. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Before you is an ordinance declaring the results of the election on April 2nd. The general election, April 2nd, 2024. There were 4 candidates received by the city clerk and a write-in candidate accepted by the Johnson County clerk as the election authority. The results of the election, I would like to note that the Johnson County clerk noted to me the unofficial results that were posted on election night are different than the certified election results that were delivered today. The reasoning there were 8 provisional ballots that were reconciled during the verification board meeting today. Of the outcome, Kirk Walker, Scott Holmberg, and Susie Latari all received additional votes. And the yes, no results changed slightly on the ballot question. I just wanted to explain that. The results are in your packet, showing Susie Latari with 523 votes, which are the majority of votes. So city staff recommends approval of the election results as presented.
Move to approve as presented.
Thank you. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh,
Second reading.
wait a minute. I'm so sorry.
Move to second
Yeah,
reading by title.
move to second reading.
Yep.
An ordinance declaring the results of the election of one council member for a 3-year term at the general election held on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
6.2. First and second readings, an ordinance declaring the results of the April 2nd, 2024 general election, submitting to the voters extension and approval of a 0.5% sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements pursuant to section 94.577 of the revised statutes of Missouri in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri.
Again,
Read it again.
thank you. Again, the Johnson County Clerk has certified this election, delivered the certification results today. The election number, the votes had changed slightly. The ballot issue was approved the amount was 777 voters were for the extension of the CIP sales tax renewal, and 435 were opposed. So it passed with the vote of the people. Are there any questions that you have? City staff would recommend approval.
Move to approve to second reading by title.
Thank you. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance declaring the results of the April 2nd, 2024 general election, submitting to the voters extension and approval of a 0.5% sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements pursuant to section 94.577 revised statutes of Missouri in the city of Warrensburg. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next is 6.3. An ordinance continuing the imposition of a 0.5% sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements.
I thought that's what we just did.
So,
We declared it.
Yeah.
We did the
So-
election first and
Wait,
the
now,
vote, we held the election, we declared the election, we held the election, we approved the results of the election, and now we have to take action to put what was approved in the election into action. So
Okay.
that's what this ordinance is.
All right. Thank you. Got it.
We want to make sure we check all our boxes and make sure we really want to do it. With that explanation, this ordinance that is before you, yes, will be notification to the state director of revenue by certified mail that we would like to continue our 0.5 dedicated capital improvement sales tax through 2045. So happy to answer any additional questions, but thank you. Also, thank you to the Warrensburg voters. Thank you to all of our community partners who provided opportunities for us to share how important this sales tax was to the essential to the operations and our ability to provide the quality services that we provide, and improve the quality of life, that we have here in Warrensburg. So a big thank you to everyone.
Move to, oh, sorry.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
An ordinance of the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, continuing the imposition of a 0.5% sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements pursuant to section 94.577 revised statutes of Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
6.4 mayoral appointments. I've got 5 of them here that 3 are for the Board of Adjustment and 2 are for the Tax Incremental Financing Commission. And we can do these as a bulk or all at once.
Just,
Pardon me?
You can do it as a slate.
Okay.
yeah, we'll just do. Move to approve all mayoral appointments.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
I doubt I'll say this in the Latin. It's supposed to be council sign and die. That's not right. I know.
I'm not gonna correct you.
He already did.
So. Mayor, if you would present.
Oh. Carl Bentley has spent 1 term on the city council. Turn the right way. 1 term from April 21 to April of 24 on the city council and gets his paycheck tonight.
Ooh, what am I gonna do with all this?
I know. Congratulations and thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank you.
Okay. Swearing in of the new city council member.
Thank you.
Sit in the audience or do whichever, you were least.
I'd just like to thank everybody. I wish the city well. I hope everybody has had a good experience, opportunity. I've had good times on the council. I appreciate everybody that I've met and all the work that we've done together. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Latara.
Should I?
Huh?
Down there or here? Where would you?
Yes, where do you want to? This is your show.
Oh. Why not? Put your things down here.
You want to turn the flag?
Let's do it in front of the flag. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful. Okay.
Can I hold that?
Yes.
Okay, just in case.
Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless they're gonna give a kickback
And
to the
if-
city, get it out there.
If you would, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Susie Latari,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all of the qualifications
for the office of city council member
for the office of city council member
as prescribed by law,
as prescribed by law,
that I support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
and the provisions of all laws
and the provisions of all laws
of this state
of this state
affecting cities of the third class
affecting cities of the third class
and the ordinances of the city of Warrensburg.
and the ordinances of the city of Warrensburg.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, appreciate it, thank you. Thanks, sir, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, have a seat there first, Susie, and then we'll Number 9, roll call of the new council. Roll call again, Judy.
Osborne,
Here.
Euler,
Here.
Latari. Here. Jones,
Here.
Kushner.
Here. Adoption of the new business agenda.
I move to adopt the new business agenda.
Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes. Next is election of mayor.
I would like to nominate Bruce Euler to be mayor.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Bruce Euler then.
Okay.
Do we have to
Have to
second?
vote.
Yes. Osborne,
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yeah. That's the same reaction I had too, Bruce. Okay, number 11 or 12.
I'd like to nominate Councilperson Eddie Osborne as our mayor pro tem.
Any other nominations? All right, let's go for a vote.
Osborne,
Certainly.
Euler,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Oh,
now we do the chair shuffle.
okay. Jim? Do we do this?
Okay? Yeah.
Mayor Euler, like to present. Also number.
Now do I sit there?
Beautiful.
Jim, we want to thank you for 2 years of service as mayor, being a fire chief for so many years, such a great member of the community. Happy 40th anniversary yesterday, so.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Oh, the power.
Wanna-
I do.
Yeah. All right. If you would.
Where I started.
Sign here.
Thank you.
I believe that's first, yes.
Okay, item 13, proclamations. National Arab American Heritage Month, April 2024 proclamation. Look.
Hey, neighbor.
Bruce. National Arab American Heritage Month, April 2024. Whereas since migrating to the United States of America over a century ago, men and women of Arab descent brought their resilient family values, strong work ethic, dedication to education, and diversity in faith and creed that have added strength to our great democracy. And whereas Arab Americans have been making valuable contributions to virtually every aspect of American life, such as medicine, law, business, education, technology, government, military service, and culture. And whereas they have enriched our society by sharing the entrepreneurial American spirit that makes our nation free and prosperous. And whereas the incredible contributions and heritage of Arab Americans have helped us build a better nation. And whereas misconception, bigotry, and the lack of information have contributed to a variety of challenges that Arab Americans face every day. And whereas the United States Department of State recognized April as the Arab American Heritage Month in April 1 of 2021 to recognize the achievement of Arab Americans by increasing awareness and education. And whereas the Arab Americans in the Warrensburg community have contributed significantly to enriching and building a better and stronger community. Mr. Alex S. Nassif, an immigrant from Lebanon, settled in Warrensburg in the 1930s. He owned a shoe repair shop, but he donated generously to the hospital, Boy Scouts of America, the American Legion Post 131, and many other causes throughout his life, and gave all of his life savings to the city of Warrensburg upon his death in 1979. And to this day, Mr. Nassif's generosity helps many Warrensburg children through the Warrensburg Schools Foundation. Now therefore, I, Bruce Euler, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Arab American Heritage Month. And I don't know if you know this, anybody knew Alex Nassif? I was fortunate to know Alex. His shoe repair shop was just about where we're standing today, right here. Yeah, absolutely, the same spot. So a wonderful man, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. National Volunteer Week of April 20 through 27, 2024. I know you're all volunteers. So somebody volunteer to come up.
Boards
So
and
quiet back
commissions.
there.
You're funny.
Max, would you like to come up or? Sure. Is
Yeah.
that all right?
Or
Yeah.
Otski, would you like to come back up
Yes.
as a volunteer?
And Matt.
And Matt
Come on.
for P and Z and, Thank you.
Thanks again for all your work. National Volunteer Week of April 21 through 27, 2024. Whereas National Volunteer Week, April 21 through 27, 2024, established by presidential proclamation in 1974, provides an opportunity to recognize the impact of volunteer service and the power of volunteers to tackle society's greatest challenges and build stronger communities. And whereas volunteers are an essential piece of the community, serving in many capacities at schools, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, community groups, and local municipal government. And whereas the city of Warrensburg has more than 13 boards and commissions that reflect the community's varied interests. And whereas these volunteers help support, guide, and oversee the city's services, including governance on budgets, local laws, public safety, arts and cultural programs and activities, planning and zoning code, building code appeal procedures, administer children's memorial funds, foster mutual understanding and respect within the community, suggest ideas and methods for energy efficiency, resource conservation, and renewable energy solutions, promote historic preservation, encourage health, fitness, and wellness in parks and programs, support economic development through special taxing district oversight, make recommendations on traffic condition and administration and enforcement of traffic regulations, protect trees, shrubs, bushes, and other plants, and manage the city's community urban forest. I think that's a run-on sentence, but. That's fantastic. And whereas this recognition serves as a testament to the transformative power of volunteerism, showcasing the collective efforts of individuals who selfishly contribute to building stronger, more resilient communities. Now therefore, I, Bruce Schuler, Mayor of Warrensburg, Missouri, along with members of the Warrensburg City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 21 through 27, 2024 as National Volunteer Week. In witness whereof, I am to set my hand and seal this 8th day of April, 2024. Thank you. So,
There you go.
And share with you.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
It's not listed. City manager doing, will be
Okay.
presenting.
City Manager. Hello.
Yes.
You have the-
Mayor Euler and City Council, it's great to be before you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you about the Nancy J. Anderson and Charles W. Stevenson Scholarship Endowment. As you know, we've discussed earlier this year, this scholarship has been in place. Eligible recipients are graduating seniors or children of Warrensburg employees who are seeking higher education. So while they don't necessarily have to be going on to a four-year university, but trying to better themselves with additional education and training. We had 2 applicants this year. The scholarship committee was very impressed, however, with one of our applicants. We were impressed with both applicants, but we were very impressed with the applicant before you this evening. Her academic achievements, she has earned a grade point average of a 3.43 with a multitude of leadership activities in student council, yearbook committee, DECA, speech and debate team, and extracurricular participation in cheerleading, a junior coach at Twister Sports, and their summer day camp. We are very excited to present this scholarship for $1,000 to Gracie Bryant. I did want to share a little bit from her statement letter, if I could, with you all. So Gracie writes, living in a military town, it is a conversation I had all too often with my classmates as a kid. Where were you born? My answer stayed the same from 3rd grade at Sterling throughout middle school. Even compared to answers like Germany or Alaska, I always responded with a very prideful across the street. So Gracie has shared with us in her letter that she will be staying here in Warrensburg. She will be attending the University of Central Missouri, and she will be getting her degree in education, and it is her goal to be a 1st grade teacher. So without any further ado, please join me in congratulating Miss Gracie Bryant.
Let's get out of there without a picture. Just come get that back in the back. Oh, we can do some. Good luck at UCM next year.
Item 15, presentation of the fiscal year 2023 audit report by KPM CPAs and advisors, presented by John Cummings, CPA, KPM CPAs and advisors.
Good evening, everyone. See that you have a very long agenda tonight, so I'll keep my comments very high level. But if you do have any questions that arise after tonight or even tonight, feel free to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. I know you should have an electronic copy, and I wouldn't ask anyone to try and flip through this and follow along on an iPad, so you should also have a paper copy up there that is bound. I'll try and keep this moving quickly, but we're going to start on page 4. And as noted, I am John Cummings. I'm an audit services shareholder with KPM CPAs, and tonight I'm presenting the September 30, 2023 audited financial statements. And on page 4, you'll see the independent auditor's report, which is the point of the entire exercise of doing an audit, is to get to this. and render an opinion on your financial statements. And you can see this, the first thing there, in the opinions paragraphs. It says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, the discretely presented component unit, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Warrensburg as of September 30, 2023. That is a clean or unmodified opinion and the best possible result, and the same as you received last year. The basis for the opinion on the financial statements is that we conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and the standards applicable to financial audits contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. That government auditing standards is known as the Yellow Book rules. And there's some reports later in this presentation that we'll be going over, and basically it deals with reporting on internal controls. Responsibility management involves the fact that management is responsible for the financial statements that are contained in this report. So they have, with our help, prepared them, but also have reviewed them and accepted them as their own. So with all of that said, we'll look at some financial information on page 24. Hit basically the income statements. This is technically called the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for governmental funds. That includes the general fund, the park fund, the capital improvement transportation fund, the capital improvement half-cent fund, the American Rescue Plan Act fund, the debt service fund, the capital improvement bond fund, and then some non-major funds, which are basically aggregated funds under the GASB 34 requirements. And I won't go through every fund unless you just want me to, but the general fund and the park fund and the capital improvement sales tax funds and the ARPA fund are all pretty important, I think. So the total revenues for the general fund for the year ended September 30, 2023 amounted to $11,491,831. That is up about $960,000 from last year. On the expense side in the general fund, you had $11,073,092 in expenditures. That's only up about $731,000. So the net there is an increase of $418,739. On the park fund, total revenues were $3,205,957. That's up about $139,000. The bulk of that, of course, is in the tax revenue increasing because your tax base is increasing as a city, which is good news. On the expenditure side, you had $3,012,785 in expenditures. That's up about $538,000 over last year, and left an increase for the year of $193,172. The capital improvement transportation fund had total revenues of $1,062,488. That's up about $162,000 over last year. The expenses were up $1.96 million over last year because of big projects the city has going on. Obviously, expenses totaled $2,231,301, and that created a deficit here of revenues not exceeding expenditures of $1,168,813. On the capital improvement half-cent fund, total revenues were $2,532,214. That's up about $191,000 over last year. Expenditures in this fund were $796,594. That's up about $470,000 over last year. So you had a gain here of $1,735,620. On your American Rescue Plan Act fund, we had total revenues of $1,670,278. That's up $634,000 over last year. Basically, for those that may not know, the city received that money in two tranches from the state. Well, technically two big tranches and two little ones. But, and then those monies have been on deposit with the city and considered to be unearned revenue until you're actually utilizing it, so you can match the revenue up in the same budget year as the expense. So this is recognizing that revenue. He had expenses of $1,582,057. That's up about $577,000 from last year, and had a gain in this fund of $88,221, which is the interest on the ARPA. And then on the debt service fund, you can see there that there was $2,466 in interest income and paid out principal, interest, and fees of $2,895,449. On the capital improvement bond fund, total revenues were $1,873,445, which is up about $595,000 from last year. And the expenses were $573,293, which is up about $217,000 over last year. So had an increase in this fund of $1.3 million. And then on the non-major, revenues were $267,188, which is up about $18,000 over last year. The expenses were $358,086, which is a decline of $90,898. So overall, very good financial year. If you turn the page and kind of just keep in mind those, the net number of revenues minus expenditures, you can see here that there are other financing sources and uses, which amount to proceeds from sale of assets in the general fund of $26,658. And then each fund has some transfers in and out. But after those items, the general fund had a total increase of $1,138,623 and ended the year with a fund balance of $9,034,179. And the park fund, as noted earlier, you had $193,000 of gain for the year of revenues over expenses. And the transfers out of $333,198. That left a decline for the year of $140,026 and an ending balance of $1,947,581. The capital improvement transportation fund had an ending balance of $556,833, which is down $1.16 million from last year. The half-cent fund had an ending balance of $2,247,105. That's up $318,722. Art fund was up $88,221 to end at $120,934. The debt service fund increased by $1,178 to have a balance of $16,170. And the capital improvement bond fund increased by $182,231 to end at $18,163,762. So all total, across all the governmental funds, you had a total net increase of $429,868 and total fund balances of $32,392,591, which is all to say a very strong financial year. So congratulations on the budgeting and execution for the year ended September 30, 2023. Any questions on that page, both of those pages? A lot of numbers. So, okay, if not, we'll turn over to page 29. And a shorter version of the same thing, but relating to enterprise proprietary funds. And that is your sewer fund and the internal service fund. The operating revenues for the sewer fund amounted to $7,826,384, which is up $528,000 from last year. Expenses for operations were only up about $100,000 at $3,705,154. That amounted to a operating income of $2,121,230. You had a net non-operating expense, which was basically net interest expense, of $145,509, transferred out $820,000, which left a net change in net position of $1,155,721, and left you with an ending net position of $19,598,522. So very good year in that fund as well. On the internal service fund, you'll see that it is down for the year. That is as planned, as the way that the city is providing health insurance has changed. And this is going to be dropping down and eventually going to zero. So any questions on that? No, we're well running. If not, we're going to skip a bunch of this and go straight to page 81. Schedule of findings and responses as part of the yellow book requirements relating to reporting on internal controls. And bring you to this page because it's kind of the thing that might be a little bit new for this year. The city went through some transition in personnel and just changes in processes here and there, kind of led to a condition where there was a overlap of duties, so a lack of segregation of duties. And basically, that amounts to is a person has a little too much access to a particular area of finance or part of the transaction cycle. And does not necessarily mean it's a bad thing or a bad process or operation. It can work, but what it does do is it makes all of the other controls that mitigate that particular risk a lot more important. And so that's why this is in here as a material weakness. It calls your attention to the fact that you do have a lack of segregation of duties. And so those reviews of checks, whenever they're getting approved payment, review of bank reconciliations, all the different things that happen throughout the course of monitoring the financial transactions of the city all become a little bit more important because they are the stopgap when you don't have enough separation in the duties. And this is not an uncommon thing in municipalities. And a lot of times it's based on a resource situation where the cities just don't have the resources to throw at it or can't necessarily find the right people to fill the position at the right time. So this is a fairly common thing. And I think the city can pretty easily overcome it in a future period here. So,
John, could you read the response from the city just for people here?
Yeah.
Might be interesting.
so the city's response to this was, the city believes that the actions must be taken to further segregate duties and is currently creating an administrative services department that will allow for additional segregation of duties and add an additional level of oversight. While this will not be accomplished in a time frame to affect the majority of fiscal year 2024, it should be fully in place for fiscal year 2025. And for fiscal year 2024, all activities are being reviewed by at least 2 employees and typically by 3. So the city's obviously reacting to this and trying to overcome that lack of segregation of duties, which is basically what we recommend, is that you do all that you can with what you got. And so that's kind of what the city's trying to implement. And so we do appreciate the city's response on that. Any questions on that? Am I doing okay on time so far? Okay. There's just 2 letters that are outside the bound booklet, and I'll call your attention to those. There's not a lot to talk about, but there are some new accounting pronouncements. GASB's statement 100, 101, and 102 are effective basically from now through 2025. And so GASB 100 is accounting changes and error corrections. It basically just gives us some prescribed rules for how to deal with an accounting change or an error correction. GASB statement 101 deals with compensated absences and basically just says what things you wouldn't include. Mostly it's the like jury duty leave or military leave or bereavement leave. So pretty simple stuff there, just FYI. And then statement 102 is on certain risk disclosures and requires governments to disclose information about certain risks they face due to concentrations and constraints in the revenues and expenditures. And this is effective for October 1, 2024. So the 24, 25. On the next page is cybersecurity and internal controls. And this is a lot longer than maybe what you've seen in the past. The reason for that is I had the misfortune of having 3 clients get struck. And despite having this in for a while now, they still fell victim to it. 2 of them were in the 900 to $1 million. It was not this city, by the way, just for the record.
Thank you.
Just to clear up anybody that's half paying attention. This is how rumors get started. So 2 of them were in the 900 to $1 million range, and they recovered part of it through insurances, which were part of it. The other one, I got a call from a superintendent at a school, and he was kind of in a panic because they had paid 2 pay apps about a week prior to when we were speaking, and that amounted to $2.3 million. And they figured out that it was actually fake. And so they're doing a very good job of knowing who's at your vendors and who's checking email at your side. And so, if you read through all this, what it really says is, if somebody's asking for a change in ACH information or terms of payment, really, really drill into it and be sure you're asking the right questions. In this particular case, the client did call and verified with the vendor, which was an engineering firm, that, I'm talking to this person, they want this done. Oh yeah, that's your account rep now. You started about a month ago. well, they weren't really talking to him, so not good. This place was actually fortunate in that the superintendent was personal friends with a Secret Service agent who happened to put his friends on it. I think they've recovered all but about 78,000 of it. So pretty surprising, actually. Normally, if you're not day of or day after, you have no chance. So I don't expect everyone to be that lucky, but you do have some rather large construction projects coming up. So I wanted to be sure to point this out. They are targeting people that are doing large kind of public projects. So don't think that it's going to just happen somewhere else. It could happen here. So. Item 3 deals with federal program compliance, and this is just a general, hey, there's at some point possibly going to be some look back on how things were handled on the federal side. The city's gone through 2 of the alternate compliance examinations relating to ARP funds. I expect either a full single audit for the 24 year. It'll be that or maybe another alternative compliance examination. That limits down what we're actually testing quite a bit compared to what the overall grant agreements would call for. And so if the Fed did come in and be sure everything's in a row, I know the city wants that as well. And so this is just kind of a reminder. And I don't really expect a problem, but you know, due diligence. So right. That is what I have. Any questions on the audit?
Question? Susie? No. All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all so
Don.
much for your attentiveness tonight and patience with me, and thanks to the team across the street that put up with us while we're here asking for a million things, while they're trying to do all the million things they're trying to do for the cities. So everybody kept a great attitude, super great to work with, so we appreciate that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Item 16, public hearing. Public hearing on an ordinance establishing a light industrial district for property recently annexed into the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located east of US Highway 13 and south of Northeast 200 Road. Presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development.
Sorry.
Mayor and City Council, this is a public hearing for the property that was annexed earlier this evening. It's 438.5 acre tract of land now inside the city limits on the east side of the Brady Commerce Park. And now that it is a part of the city, it's appropriate for the city to establish a zoning district on that property. The request from the owner and applicant, Brady Commerce Park LLC, is for a LI light industrial zoning district designation. The properties to the northeast and south of the land in question are outside of city limits, and they are developed with single-family dwellings and agricultural uses. Properties to the west are located in a light industrial district and include the Dollar Tree Distribution Center, a gas station, and undeveloped land. It is contiguous to that existing light industrial district, and that is why the request has come forward for a light industrial district. It would be an extension of the existing district. There is currently a house on the southwest corner of the property, and that use can continue even though that is not an allowed use in a light industrial district. So it would come in as a grandfathered use and a non-conforming use, and as such can continue indefinitely until such time that it's either abandoned for over 365 days or it is changed to a different use. So they could abandon it by converting it to a different use that is an allowed use, or they could abandon it by just not renting it out, not having anyone live there for over a year. Once abandoned, then it could not be picked up and continued. So it's not, sometimes you hear me talk about how like a single family use is allowed by a conditional use permit in a general business or the central business. This is not even a use that would be allowed by conditional use permit. It's just not allowed in an industrial district. The only type of residential use contemplated that's allowed in an industrial district is a night watchman concept. And that's really not used so much anymore, but that would be allowed if it was that type of use associated with an industrial use. Staff has recommended approval of the request for 5 reasons that are listed in the staff report. I do want to mention the last one there in that the industrial park was identified as a need in the 2017 comprehensive plan and its potential uses such as professional office, indoor warehousing, and light manufacturing uses. Also noted in your staff report, this area was included in the 2017 comprehensive city plan in the future land use area as an industrial or office park and agricultural open space. Current trend is towards agricultural and industrial. As well, it was also shown in the 2007 future land use map adopted by the city that shows this area as light industry. So staff again has recommended approval. We do have a public comment that we've received at the city. Those are noted in your staff report. Douglas and Tanya Willig at 221 Northeast 401 Road. Again, had concerns that are outlined there. Christina Pazinski at 413 Northeast 50 Highway called City Hall on April 1st, 2024 to ask about the development and if her property was being annexed. And staff explained the proposal. She did not state if she was for or against it. And then Tim Stroh appeared at the Planning and Zoning Commission and had questions about the project and specifically about drainage on his property and any increased flooding that might come about as development would occur in the portion of the property that's located in a floodplain. He did not state if he was for or against the request. Planning and Zoning Commission considered the request at their April 1st meeting and recommended approval. Their findings and written recommendation are attached. I believe that a representative for the applicant is here, Tracy Brantner, and she has comments to address the body.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. It's always a pleasure to be here. I wanted to give a little bit of history. Barb always does a great job of highlighting kind of where we've been. So I am Tracy Brantner. I'm the Economic Development Director here for Johnson County. It's been my pleasure to serve Warrensburg for 18 years. Yeah, been that long. But the back history on Brady Commerce Park, as Barb mentioned in the 2007 comprehensive plan, was such that at the time, we were really exploring options for places for our businesses to expand to. We really didn't have a lot of options for our employers if they wanted to build new or expand their employment. They really didn't have a whole lot of places to go. And so there was a person that arose on the scene and on the horizon. Weldon and Dickie Brady came to our benefit, and they bought a whole section to some significant expense, personal expense at the time. They bought well over 600 acres, well before the East Loop went in, with the sole purpose of keeping a legacy for this community, for providing an opportunity for businesses to expand to. And it's been my pleasure to work with Weldon over these years to try to make that happen. And then after his passing in 2018, right after we cut the ribbon on the Dollar Tree Distribution Center, it's been my pleasure to work with Vicki to make sure that we continue that legacy and that vision that Weldon had way back when he bought it. So what does the future hold? The future holds that we are continuing in that vision. We started with a light industrial zoning as we brought in the Dollar Tree Distribution Center, as we did the break time convenience center, truck center. Obviously that was to serve the trucks that were coming in and out of Dollar Tree. And then the county was on board, the city, and everyone to make sure that Dollar Tree Distribution Center had provided good employment for up to 400 full-time individuals now. That project was one of the largest projects in actually the state of Missouri. Was in the top 4 at $110 million project. So significant investment to our community, great place to work. for people. And we hope to continue that momentum into the future. As you know, there's a road being built out there very quickly. Thank you to everybody that's been helping in that. Very, very quick, very important project. And that will open up 165 additional acres in Brady Commerce Park for light industrial purposes. We will, obviously our master plan that we started in 2007 will continue to hold with that master plan should the council choose that path. So happy to answer any questions if you have them. Always a pleasure. And I serve as a resource for anyone that has questions. I'm in the courthouse, you know where I'm at. Happy to help.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything about it?
Should we do?
That one might be.
Yeah, you would just move on to the next one for the purpose of the public hearing.
Do all three?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
16.2, public.
We want to hear a public comment hearing on this one, yes, and we have several individuals that are here, so. I believe all the names on there are here to speak on this one in
Okay.
particular.
You would call.
Yep.
All those.
Okay. Yeah, we have 5 individuals here. Mike Robinson. Come up and just state your name and your address, please.
Sure.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is my first time addressing this kind of a forum. I'm a new resident to Johnson County. I spent 42 years as a chemical officer in Department of the Army Civilian. I recently retired and I own 10 acres on 400 First Road, 231 Northeast 400 First Road. That's 10 acres there. There's 6 lots altogether. And we border Bear Creek. I own lot number 4. I'm invested in Johnson County, and when I purchased this, I was very pleased to get that property. I'm the one that has the little pond. My 3 daughters all graduated from the college, so my money and my daughters are there. All 3 bachelors. I have one that has now a master's of education. I'm a teacher at the Warrensburg Christian School. I teach music. So I'm well versed in, as an Army officer, planning and thinking. I must apologize. I did not know that there were documents available to read, and the folks have been very helpful today helping me with that. There are a couple concerns that we have in the development of this. This is a significant amount of land that you're looking at, and it does have some challenges. For example, in the ordinance and how it's developed, things like control and definition of the light industry, what's there, what actually goes, because I'm within probably a quarter mile. I don't know if you know exactly, but 200 runs east-west. As 200 makes a little curve, that is the new road. That's 400 First. 400 First runs north-south. 200 continues on well off towards Montserrat. Definition of light industry, things that are acceptable in that area versus not, because there is a lot of noise, even from the Family Dollar at all hours of the night, the backup warning from the trucks, and all you hear is beep, 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 beep. There's also a lot of light. They have a lot of security lights. There's a lot of road congestion. The big trucks are there. Whoever built that little annex on the back so the trucks can get around the back, did a nice job of putting a nice concrete style road there. From there to the new road, that's just old asphalt. It's not going to last very long. So control of those kind of things, road improvement, sewage and drainage. As you know, Family Dollar sits on the top of that hill and it rolls down into Bear Creek. And I believe that also has the sewage that goes down to the sewer treatment plant. So that's also very, Now you're increasing that. It is a floodplain. My property touches a floodplain by. So that is of significant concern in the moment. And I'm sorry I introduced myself to you. Sorry. Okay. For example, what's the plan for the release of fumes, vapors, particulates from this kind of industry? I don't know if you've noticed the last couple of days, but we've had significant stupid wind. And all of it blows either from the north to the south or from the south to the north onto my property. This is a taxation increase in that area because now you're going from agricultural to some other definition within that. So there is that little creep of, oh, now you're valuable. Now your property is valuable, even more so because you're butting up against an industrial. I just built a brand new home. Oh my God. My property taxes. I was not prepared for the property taxes. Other things, for example, as a chemical officer, one of the things I do is I plan, I read, I do maps, I do things. I was a nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare officer. Therefore, I know about radiation and downwind hazard. What's the hazmat impact on this kind of a property if they're having things? What if there's a fire? Which way does the wind blow? I received no notice of any of this other than there's an 18 by 24 sign that was put into the ditch. I'm within an arm length of this property. So as Warrensburg continues to grow, you have to consider us also. And so that would be something that I would love to input, and I'll get with your staff more on that to make sure that that's put into it to protect myself and my investment here for retirement and my horses. So they're going to do that. Do you have any questions of me?
Not at this time.
All right.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Doug and Tanya Willig.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Willig and my wife Tanya came with me. We're at 221 Northeast 401st Road, just right next door to where Mike Robinson lives. He's just south of him. We're in the third lot on that I guess it'd be the east side of the road. I'd just like to second all of the comments and questions and concerns that Mike Robinson had. We have discussed this very little amongst ourselves. But meeting here tonight, we compared notes and we all have the same concerns, especially with the noise that could possibly occur as a result of the light industrial, not knowing exactly what type of businesses or industry is going to go in there. We do hear that the backup alarms over at Dollar General, generally on Wednesday and Thursday nights. I mean, we can just almost, we could tell you almost when it's going to start, but they go on all night long up until, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Those backup alarms are going off. We knew that when we moved in. We bought our property 2 years ago and rebuilt an old farmhouse there in our lot. And I use my property is just primarily agriculture. I rent the property to one of the neighbors. He still farms that. It's about 6.5 to 7 acres of my land. I had no idea that we were going to be this close to industrial or like commercial property. I knew Dollar General was over there, or excuse me, Family Dollar Tree was over there, but we just had assumed that the property just stopped right there at their driveway. So this was a big surprise to us when we saw all of the dozing and the new street that's going in. It does concern us a little bit that some of the wildlife, I know Warrensburg has a lot of deer. It's common, especially around Lions Lake, but there's also a lot of deer. There are some turkeys and things like that over on that property down in the bottoms. It is my concern that all the property that's in the bottoms that is not presently gonna be served by the road that's going through there. I asked, your city manager, I asked her if the property was going to be taken out of agricultural use, if all of it was, and you said that it would be.
I have a correction on that. I verified with Tracy and it can be used as agricultural up until it is sold and it is sold to be developed, so.
And developed in accordance with whatever practices you guys have at the time.
Yes.
Okay, that was my concern, because there is a lot of farm ground there, and just to see it just taken out of agricultural use is a little bit bothersome. We're getting a lot of spread from our cities and things. And it concerns me that not only from a wildlife standpoint, but also from a food and just agricultural standpoint. One thing that I am really concerned about is the water. Our public water supply comes from Saline County. I believe it's Saline and Pettis County Water Supply District actually feeds the Dollar Tree warehouse, because I presume, the question I would have is, I would presume that that Warrensburg could not supply them with a good water supply. That's just a question I had about that, but I know because of them, because of the Dollar Tree Distribution Center, we have a good water supply coming down 400 Road and 401st Road, excuse me. And it serves us, and we have good tasting water. Up until I moved here, that was my main concern when we purchased the property, was that we'd be on Warrensburg's water. And I lived in Sedalia for several years. And when you go from Sedalia over to Warrensburg, my gosh, the water tastes terrible. But we have good water supply there, and I'm concerned that that's going to be affected, either the water pressure or the water quality serving our house. So just a few concerns. I want to second all of the questions and concerns that Mike Robinson had. The last one I would have is the effect on our property value. Ours is primarily agricultural and residential out where we are. And I asked the question of your city administrator. Of course, she didn't know what it would do to our properties, and I guess nobody knows, but can anybody give me just a general idea of what happens when this type of park goes in right next door to you?
I can at this time, but
Would there be anyone that would have an idea about that?
We can certainly research that, and
Yep.
see if there's any other kind of comparable in numbers for other industrial parks that have been built in cities, and we can certainly do that.
We had really hoped that we'd have a nice, quiet little place in the country when we bought that. And now it's gotta be within 2/10 of a mile from us now. So it is concerning to us, but we realize that progress does take place, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it except maybe move. So, but anyway, thank you very much for your time.
thanks, Don.
Do you have any questions?
Appreciate it. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
William Grauberger. Next, is William here?
I'm here, but not on that topic.
Oh, okay. And is that Ivan,
On Parkway Drive.
Parkway Drive? I can't really
I
read
think
the,
he was here for the proclamation. He's my neighbor.
oh, he's your neighbor. Okay,
Oh,
okay.
oh, okay,
All right.
okay.
And Ahmed Aldekori,
I think they were also here for that proclamation.
okay,
And then Tracy.
and then Tracy.
Lanner.
Okay.
We would need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing on Brady.
Let's see. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bueller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got rhythm all messed up.
Yes.
All right. Item 16.2. This is a long agenda tonight, everybody. So if you need to do something else or want to watch it online, you're welcome to leave, but we're here for a while, so there we go. 16.2, public hearing on an ordinance enlarging the central business district by rezoning land located at 109 Broad Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to central business district.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm gonna somewhat speak about this one and the next one, 16.3, at the same time as the next one relies on this one. So I'll have comments somewhat separate for both, but we'll talk about them both at the same time, if that makes sense. So this is a property at 109 East Broad Street, and it is contiguous to your existing city limits on two sides, both on its north property line and on its west property line. And there are maps in your packet, and there are maps in the online packet as well, if people are watching and want to refer to those maps. So on one of those maps, the property, the central business district is a purple color on your existing zoning map, and 109 is a yellow color, and it's outlined in a white boundary. And the current zoning of this property is R2, 1 and 2 family dwelling district, and there is a single family residence on the property. The property owner south of this property, so this is 109 on the north side of the street. There is a property south of it on the south side of Broad Street at 108 Broad Street. And the property at 108 Broad Street has been purchased in recent months by Will Grauberger, and he desires to build and convert the house on that lot into a coffee shop. A coffee shop is not an allowed use in an R2, 1 and 2 family dwelling district. It is an allowed use in the central business district. So he has approached the property owner to the north at 109 Broad Street to see if they would be willing to be zoned central business. If so, because their interest in their property extends to the middle of Broad Street, if that is rezoned to central business, then his property at 108 Broad Street is contiguous to the central business district. And he then can request to be rezoned to central business district. And that is the overall context of both of these requests this evening. So speaking now specific to 109 Broad Street, the one on the north side that's currently contiguous to the central business district on the north and the west sides. The applicants, Amir Darjean and Megan Touche, own that property. And it is developed and has been for a long time with a single family dwelling. They have requested to rezone it. He did appear at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last week. This request was originally heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting in March, at their March meeting. There were a lot of questions at that meeting about the impact to this house that's currently on the property if the land is rezoned. And then further, if that house sustains damage, can it be repaired and to what extent? And would that require a conditional use permit? So given all of those questions, they continued that discussion to their April 1st meeting, and he appeared at that meeting. He had no comments to address the board, and the staff in the meantime had mailed him a letter, and you have a copy of that letter in your packet that fully explains the impact to that property with the setbacks, with the use, if it's damaged, if it's not damaged, the time frame for fixing it, all of those things. So he has that written information available to him prior to the meeting on April 1st. For your information, as a non-conforming use, so it would be a house, single-family house is a non-conforming use in a central business district. Again, it can continue as is. It can even change owners as long as that use is continued indefinitely. If that use ceases for over 365 days, then that use is abandoned and could not be reestablished, in this case, without a conditional use permit. So a conditional use permit is a possibility they would have to request that and come before this body, planning and zoning and city council, and ask for that. So it can't happen until the use is abandoned or until the structure would be damaged beyond 75% of its fair market value. So that, there are implications for that. There are greater setbacks on properties adjacent to, there are, if it's zoned central business, there are greater setbacks on the property than there would be if it was left as R2. So R2 adjacent to other R2 has a smaller side lot line, like a 7.5 foot requirement. Whereas a central business adjacent to an R2 will have a 30-foot side yard setback. So these are 50 to 60-foot wide lots that will have a significant impact on these lots. Again, all of that was articulated in the letter to the applicant. Staff did receive public comment on these as well. I've outlined that in your packet. Robin Allen had contacted staff on behalf of the owner at 119 Broad Street. He was trying to understand how it would impact 119 Broad Street and if it was being rezoned, and stated that we were not rezoning his property. The property near his property was the request. Did not state if he was for or against the request. Rhonda Gelbach contacted, she's at 300 South Holden Street, contacted City Hall on March 1st, asked about the nature of the request. And she did not state, after explaining it, she did not state if she was for or against the request. Scott Badger at 111 Broad Street, so immediately adjacent to the east, came to the March 4th Planning and Zoning Commission to understand the request. And if it would have an impact on his property, provided some information about the owner of 109 Broad Street, because at that point we had not heard from him. That he left it at that at the meeting. Planning and Zoning Commission did continue the application to the April 1st meeting. At that meeting, on April 1st, they voted to recommend approval of the request. A copy of their written findings and recommendation is attached. Staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
No, I'm glad that the owners did attend the,
He did, yes.
that's good.
I do just have some clarifying questions.
Mhm.
So,
Actually, can we save those until we are moving to vote on this item? And let's get to the public hearing. And then we can answer questions right before we take.
Okay.
Close that. All right, we'll close the public hearing on 16.
He would like to.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Here to speak on this.
Yeah, William Braunberger, please step up. Give us your address too, because.
Yeah. My name is Will Grallberger. I'm located at 108 Broad Street, and I'll speak specifically to 108 Broad Street. As Ms. Barbara Carroll lined out, 108 Broad Street, the intentional use for that is to be rezoned to CB Central Business District. And in order to qualify as such, it must share a contiguous line with Central Business District with the granting of, as Ms. Barbara Carroll explained, we have met the requirements set forth for rezoning, and Planning and Zoning has recommended for that process to continue to move forward. Both parties, 109 and 108 Broad Street, are aware of the implications of if there was a catastrophic failure or total loss of structure. We are aware of those, are aware of that. And I just appreciate everybody's time and consideration in this matter. And as also Ms. Barbara Carroll did state, I want to reiterate that there were no formal concerns from the community. So thank you guys for your time. Is there any questions for me?
so you're the person wanting to open the coffee shop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. At 108.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. I
Thanks,
just wanted to
Will.
make sure I had my plate
Thank you.
right.
Appreciate it,
sir.
thank you. Now. Okay.
Yes.
Now we'll close the public hearing on item 16.2. and 16.3. Item 17, first and second. We still need to do the public hearing.
On the 108 Broad Street, we need to open and have that
Okay.
public hearing.
All right, reopen.
Okay.
108.
We wanted to get a really easy one for your first. meeting.
Yeah, thanks. All right. 16.3, public hearing on an ordinance enlarging the central business district by rezoning land located at 108 Broad Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to central business district. Barbara Carroll, thanks.
So a lot of the former comments on the last hearing apply to this one. On this one, I would note, in this case, 108 Broad Street owned by Mr. Groberger. And this is only adjacent to the central business district if 109 Broad Street is rezoned. If that occurs, and this is rezoned to central business, it will be adjacent to residential on both its east and west sides. So it will have that additional 30-foot setback on those two sides in the event of either in the event of the catastrophic damage. It would not impact converting the existing structure. It would impact if the existing structure is enlarged. So if the footprint of the existing house is proposed to be increased, which staff is not aware that is the case, but a future expansion or a change of the footprint will have to meet, that part will have to meet any setbacks from residential districts. But the existing footprint will be grandfathered in. So
And what is the setback?
it will be 30 foot from a property line adjacent to a residential district. So in that case, that's going to be the east side and the west side, 106 and 110 Broad Street. The south side is adjacent to an R4 district, but in that case, but when it's when the adjacency is through a street, it's a setback from a street, not a setback from a residential district. So the one on the south is not going to have any bearing on what the actual setback is going to be on the south.
And is the setback the 30 feet?
30 feet.
And how wide is that lot? 60?
55 feet, I believe. Is it?
The 108, you mean?
The 108, yeah,
Yeah.
108.
Close to
So
55.
the setbacks will overlap.
Yes.
Thank you.
If the property at 109 Broad Street, and this is in your staff report, but if that property is not rezoned, and I don't say this to influence you, but to make you aware, if that is not rezoned, staff will recommend against rezoning this because that would be an illegal spot zoning. It would not have any adjacency to the central business district. And so it would be improper to zone just this as an island of central business.
Okay, can I ask questions now?
So we're gonna save council discussion for when council is deliberating and
Gotcha.
taking action on these items.
Okay,
Right
thank you.
now, we'll save it for the public hearing and comments from the public.
Gotcha, thank you.
Will, would you like to come back?
Say a couple more things
Sure.
on 108 Broad Street, sorry to.
Sorry.
address
Yeah, thank
these.
you.
So just want to reiterate again that the protocol has been followed for rezoning. Planning zoning does recommend for us to move forward. I also wanted to share a little bit with the community about what this isn't just your ordinary coffee shop. What we plan to do is provide an inclusive environment for the college student campus. And with Warrensburg expanding, which is ultimately the goal, we want more tax revenue, we want increased population, we want infrastructure update. And so as we do that, it's inevitable that we have to expand, and sometimes it's a little messy when we expand, but we need to expand our infrastructure, we expand our city, we expand our population. And so being that we do share a contiguous line with Central Business District 109, therefore making 108 eligible for rezoning to CB Central Business District. I recommend, or I request that council here keeps in mind that that the expansion of Warrensburg this will come up continuously throughout tenure on boards and stuff. As far as the coffee shop goes, as we are looking to, my wife and I, Mallory, we're looking to provide a inclusive environment, a welcoming environment, a home away from home for what is known as a commuter college, to provide a sense of belonging, a sense of mainly just a sense of belonging for these college students. And so we want this to be a inclusive environment where people can share views and have a place. One of the big things that's different about our coffee shop opposed to what other coffee shops are going to be is we're going to have extended hours on Thursday nights. Not that there's anything wrong with Pine Street, but we want to provide an alternative to nightlife other than Pine Street. So we're going to be open until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, providing an alternative opposed to Pine Street with alcohol and stuff, for a decaf coffee and yard games and open mic nights and different things like that. A really nice atmosphere. Also, everybody's familiar with the Berg Facebook page. That can be the demise of some small businesses and some city partials. But I will say that there were over 400 comments recently on the Berg asking for the city to have an alternative means for college students, for high school students, a safe, inclusive environment for them to participate in activities, whether or not that be yard games or poetry or mic nights or music or whatever that might be. And so my wife Mallory and I are setting out to provide that to this community. And so I would ask that you would take that into consideration as you make your decision. So thank you. Any further questions for me at this time?
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time. Close 16, right?
Mhm.
All right. We are not going to close the public hearing on item 16.3. Item 17, an ordinance establish a light industrial district for property recently annexed into the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located east of US Highway 13 and south of Northeast 200. Barbara Carroll.
You had a public hearing on this a few minutes ago and had public comment from a couple individuals and comments from staff. I'm happy to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Any
We just need a motion.
comment? Just need a motion then?
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yeah.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance establishing an L1 light industrial district for property recently annexed into the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located east of US Highway 13 and south of Northeast 200 Road. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 17.2, an ordinance enlarging the central business district by rezoning land located at 109 Broad Street from R2 1 and 2 family residence district to central business district. Barbara Carroll.
Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended approval. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
All right, I have some questions. How or does this fit into what I know the city has? Years ago, when there was some planning work, kind of visioning work along McGuire, there was a concept of nodes and kind of encouraging the possibility of smaller businesses next to / within residential areas as a way to encourage more small businesses and maybe revitalization of some older buildings and more walkability. Would you say that fits into that concept that was brought forth? Again, this was probably what, 6 or 8 years ago. I don't know if any of the rest of you remember that conversation, but I remember the maps. And talking about the idea of there being nodes along McGuire and or just off.
You might be referring to the 2017 comprehensive city plan.
Okay,
Does that seem like?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Longer ago than I remember.
And so that plan showed this area as mixed use, and the current trend of development is single family, residential, religious, and school related uses. So, what's happening there is mixed use. Sounds a little bit like what your node described.
That's my memory of it, is that there was kind of being called nodes, the idea of there being smaller, like smaller, grocery stores and that sort of thing, more easily available to folks who don't have cars, that kind of thing. So it just seems like it might be kind of in line with what my memory is of that. Related to, another question related to, so the coffee shop, the thought is for it to be at 108. And you said there was residential on the east and west of that. It's zoned that, but currently it's the parking lot for. Is that a UCM owned parking lot there?
Yeah, I don't think it's UCM, it's First Baptist Church parking lot, I think.
And then
Baptist Student Union, okay.
Yeah.
And then the one on the west side is the, I believe the Newman Center owns that property.
Yeah, at 106, that's the Newman Center, right? Or they own that, like you said.
They own it, I don't think it's being, at the moment, used by them.
Yeah.
I think they rent it out as residential.
Okay, so the residential lot 110, just to the east of 108, is zoned residential, but it's actually, there's no residence there. It's a parking lot for.
And I can verify, yes, it is owned by UCM.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and so I don't need to get into that, but it doesn't seem like residential. It seems like a parking lot for UCM, but
Correct. And churches, which properties owned by churches, which is what you have at 305 and 307 Holden Street and 104, not 104, that's a private owner. But at 106, when they're owned by a religious institution, you can have that in, it can be that type of use in a residential district.
Gotcha.
So there's never been an advantage to them to pursue the rezoning.
Gotcha. Okay, and then what you said about the setbacks. So 108 it's about 55 feet-ish. Does that sound right, sir? That's 55?
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
So how does that work when there are 30-foot setbacks and the property itself is not the total of those setbacks?
So to convert will be fine as long as they don't increase the footprint.
Okay,
It's going to make increasing the footprint impossible.
that would be the problem.
Without a variance,
Gotcha.
and a variance is a request you could make to the Board of Adjustment.
Okay, then that's what you referred to earlier, and I just took a couple clicks to get all the way around there. Okay, and then again, 109 is currently, is it inhabited? Is the residence inhabited by people?
Amir and his wife lived there. I don't know, the neighbor said that he was in the process of moving out. He was military. I cannot confirm that.
Sure.
But they have been living there, yes.
But they are in favor of having that, the property that they own at 109 rezoned.
Yes. They
And did-
submitted the petition and for their application and they attended the PNC meeting and stated they were.
Okay. And does that mean that house cannot be inhabited by,
It can
as a
continue to
residential?
be inhabited by them.
Okay,
They can sell it to someone else and that someone else can live there.
Okay.
If 365 days go by without anyone living there, on the next day, then that use is considered abandoned. And no one could live there without a conditional use permit.
Gotcha, because it would be central business.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for answering all those questions. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. I'll give you a history lesson. 110 Broad Street is where Fog Allen used to live, Allen Fieldhouse at KU. So thought I'd throw that out. Lighten the meeting a little bit. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, so much typing.
Oh, no. Okay,
Okay. Need a motion?
so
Second reading. Move to approve second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance enlarging the central business, the CB Central Business District by rezoning land located at 108 Broad Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to CB Central Business District. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Euler.
Yes.
Clarity of the record purposes, I assume the clerk meant 109.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Oh, that's one night, yeah.
109.
Oh, thank you very much. Shall I reread?
I think it was clear that you meant 109.
109. Thank you very much.
17-4, an ordinance amending section, amending section 15-6 of the Code of City.
No, 17.3 now.
Okay, you're right.
No.
All right, 17-3, an ordinance enlarging the CB Central Business District by rezoning land located at 108 Broad Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to CB Central Business District. Barbara Carroll.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. I'm happy to answer any questions. Any additional questions?
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance enlarging the central business district by rezoning land located at 108 Broad Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to CB Central Business District. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
and Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving right along, 17-4.
Mhm.
An ordinance amending section 15-6 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg regarding selling in parks prohibited, presented by Chris Deal, Parks Director.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As stated in the memo, this is an ordinance amending section 15-6 of the city code of ordinances regarding selling in parks to be prohibited. In the past, there's been approval granted by the park board, which is allowed as stated in the ordinance. And this amendment will better serve the public in a timely manner by allowing staff at the Parks and Recreation Department to approve the selling of goods, which will eliminate a wait for this service to be provided. A main example of this is food trucks, which can be used to serve parks and recreation, sports games, and other special events that are within parks or special events provided within the city by Parks and Recreation. It's important to note that this business provider must obtain a license and permits as required under the provisions of the Code of Ordinances. Also stated in the memo, this serves as part of the City of Warrensburg strategic plan by focusing on community pride and interaction. And there is no additional cost to the city for this proposed amendment, and the Parks and Recreation Board unanimously approved this amendment and is requesting for city council approval. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
I think this is a good idea. I've had people wish that the concession stands were available. And if you have food trucks available, I think this is a good idea.
One question I have is the decision being made by one person or more than one person? To approve the selling in the park?
I will be making that.
Okay.
Approval. If in my absence, it would be assistant director or management who is at the facility.
Okay, thank you.
And is this all parks?
Yes.
I assume no alcohol.
I don't know the answer to that. I would have to-
Thank you.
We have an open container prohibition in the city.
So it can't be alcohol.
that would Take care of that.
Okay.
Unless they get a special.
They have a special permit
Permit for that.
Yeah, that would certainly be different.
And it could be more than one food truck at a location, depending on the event.
Yes, that is correct. We did a survey, really kind of benchmarking, reaching out to several different cities, and we got response back from 6 different ones. We got a lot of ideas in regards to from 0 food trucks all the way up to 10 if it's a festival for food trucks. And we have got a lot of good examples in regards to operations of that, or even if it's not food truck, any other kind of vendor within parks.
Thank you.
Move that ordinance be moved to, I lost it. Second reading by title. I've had to say that in a long time.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Yeah.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance amending section 15-6 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg regarding selling in parks prohibited. This is for approval or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kushner. I mean Euler, sorry.
It's okay.
It's been a long meeting. I'm sorry.
So sorry.
It's a new day.
Okay.
All right, moving along. 17.5, an ordinance approving and accepting the minor plat of Fox Den, a subdivision of the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 449 East Market Street and 448 East Gay Street by Barbara Carroll.
This is a minor plat that takes one large existing, two parcels, two existing parcels, combines them and then redivides them in a different configuration to create 2 new lots in the city of Warrensburg. So in the north end of this project, fronts on Gay Street and is currently developed with the building for Fox Heating and Cooling, the office building and their parking lot. And on the south side of this plat, lot 2, the proposed lot 2 is a vacant lot. And if you look at the zoning information included in the staff report, the zoning already matches up to what Steve and Monica have requested with this replat. So the north part, the lot 1, proposed lot 1, is already and has for some time been commercial zone. It's mostly neighborhood business and a little bit general business. And so the general business is following a north-south lot line from the 1800s that are the original lot lines for Burke's Addition. And the reason and need for this plat is because Burke's laid out his subdivision to have 300-foot long lots that stretched all the way from Gay Street to Market Street. And so that is not typical in the city, that you would have large lots that front on 2 city streets like that. And so all the other development along Market Street over time has developed with houses fronting onto Market Street. And this property, Steve wishes to do the same thing. So he is wanting to split it out from the north side of that original lot and create a 50-foot by 150-foot lot that fronts onto Market Street. And his intent is to build a single-family house on it that will match the pattern of development along Market Street, where you have other single-family houses on the east and west side of this. So this plat will create a lot that he can do that with, and then will leave behind the lot 1 that will continue on as the office for the heating and cooling business and the parking lot for the heating and cooling business. They have made all the changes that staff has requested. Part of what makes this unique, and we see this from time to time, is that with the plat, the applicant and staff are asking that this commission approve an exception to a piece of the subdivision regulations, section 21-105G2A, which you are allowed to grant if you find certain facts to be the case, that it is unique and necessary for the development of the project. The Planning and Zoning Commission also considered that request at their meeting, and you have in their packet their findings that it is necessary for the development of the lot and would be in keeping with the neighborhood. That would grant, you have the power to do that exception from chapter 21, which is your subdivision regulations. This body has the power to do that with the approval of the plat. That is only half of the issue though, because that same requirement for a 60-foot wide lot is in chapter 27. And you all in planning and zoning do not have the authority to grant a variance from chapter 27. So the applicants will be applying for a variance from the Board of Adjustment to be granted a variance to allow a 50-foot wide lot instead of a 60-foot wide lot. So if that is successful, then you'll be able to build the house. So part of it is the exception from chapter 21, and part of it is an exception from chapter 27. And with the approval of the plat this evening, you all can grant the exception from chapter 21. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. Staff has recommended approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance approving and accepting the minor plat of Fox Den, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 449 East Market Street and 448 East Gay Street. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you. Mhm.
Okay. Item 18, other business. 18.1, a resolution declaring intent to utilize the construction management at risk CMR project delivery method to east-west WWTP SBR upgrade project. You want to explain all that?
I'll try my best. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before you tonight is a resolution for the city to declare its intent to pursue an alternative delivery method for how we pursue the east and west wastewater treatment plant sequencing batch reactor upgrade project. For the benefit of Councilmember Latari and also for the benefit of others that are listening, I will describe what CMR is, but I'll give a cliff notes.
I've heard it. I've been listening to these. I've been watching, but I appreciate it.
Would you like
Thank
me to describe it?
I know, I've been listening in on all of the meetings, so thank you.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
With this, staff has been working very closely with Missouri Department of Natural Resources, or DNR for short. So they are very familiar with our intentions for this project. And we feel that as staff that approaching it from a CMAR, we will be able to stick to the budget, stick to the schedule, very similarly to how we're pursuing the McGuire Street project. And we're also very fortunate as a city that Phil has also been here for now 2 upgrade projects. And so at this point, I would like to turn it over to Phil for him to be able to give some historical context for the plants, but also what his experiences were like not operating under a CMR approach.
Evening, Mayor, City Council. So back in 2009, we did have an SDR 3 project upgrade. It was a design bid build. At that time, the engineers came in and said that they were going to have lots of meetings with us, and they had one. We had one meeting, and then it went to design, and then it came back. They said, this is what you get. And then it went to bid, and then it went to build. There was, at that time, us as operators were a little concerned because there was lots of things that we felt needed to be addressed. With the CMAR, excited because we are going to be at the table, talking to the construction manager, talking to the engineers, and having a voice in what we feel is our plan, and having that ability to talk to them and point out maintenance issues that last time they missed, where they didn't care. They said, here it is, and you all figure out how to maintain it. Hopefully we will have that voice that we can help direct it so that it makes it easier and more cost effective for the city of Warrensburg. So I'm just excited about that part.
Great.
Any questions for me?
No, that's great to hear.
I did have one final point. With the utilization of CMAR for our treatment facilities, this would be the first CMAR delivery method for wastewater. It has been utilized with potable water, drinking water. So DNR has expressed their excitement to utilize this delivery method on wastewater.
Bill, this should improve some of the safety issues that were done during the last SBR, the issues that we had with that contractor.
Yes.
Okay.
More eyes on it to look it over, and us as that standpoint of, you know, we get to put in our safety viewpoints as well.
Okay, cool.
And the people who actually are doing the work, and we'll have, the people actually doing the work, and we'll have to maintain the property afterwards, get to have a say in how it should be. That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Motion to approve resolution.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes. Item 18.2, a resolution amending the records retention, management, and disposition policy of the city of Warrensburg, presented by Jody Schneider, city clerk.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council again. I am bringing to you an amendment to the records retention management disposition policy. What we've discovered is with the implementation of our electronic records center, which is our Laserfish software permanent repository for records, we have discovered a duplication exists for destruction logs for permanent record. What we find now is, according to the plan, if we were to continue with this plan, the current plan, we would have destruction logs placed in the minutes as well as ordinances and resolution, as well as records management records. So what we're going by is the Secretary of State Local Records Bureau records retention schedules. And according to their schedules, destruction of records, the disposition of records should be recorded in a document such as minutes of the city council or other legally constituted authority that is permanent record status. Well, we've obtained that And now we're duplicating it. So that's the first part of this resolution. We would like to correct that. Thereby, these pre-approved destruction logs that are going through a deputy records custodian as well as the department director prior to destruction. We just feel that the next level of bringing them to council would just be a duplication. So that would be one part of this resolution. The second part of this resolution that we found is within the records management plan, we had adopted auto deleting for deleted emails and sent emails. And after conversations with staff, we have a comfort level and a review level of deleted records more so than sent records. So you're looking at emails. You may send an email, but that doesn't necessarily mean the intent is to delete that email. Where when we see employees deleting emails, okay, they've made that conscious effort and their intent was to delete that email. So we feel it's more responsible and more apropos to what the Secretary of State requires for an auto deletion policy. So we would like to amend that by removing the sent emails. We don't want to risk the intent of the employee. But we feel that the deleted emails, we still have a firm grasp on that there was a review made on that. And we would like to keep that auto delete in there. The plan itself is oversees how City of Warrensburg handles their records management. We have that in place, and it is a template that has been already reviewed by the Secretary of State in a previous municipality. So we feel we're ready to go with this. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. If not, city staff recommends approval.
Very fast question. The auto deleting of the deleted emails, is that instant or is it like a 30-day time period?
Thank you for asking that. No, it's actually, so it would be governed by, not sure if I have it in here. It would be governed by the, again, the retention schedule based on communication that you need to keep for a year.
Gotcha.
So the auto delete would be a year and 30 days before it would be deleted.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? Nope, move to approve the resolution.
Kushner,
Yep.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you. The appearances.
Since we have this.
There should be another.
There was another sheet. There was nobody signed up for appearances not listed on the agenda.
All right, that was item 19, appearances to the council not listed on the agenda. Thank you. Item 20, miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council. Item 21. City staff updates, community development report.
I'll just highlight a couple of the items in your packet, on the report. Coming up, because this will be our only meeting before then. Coming up on May 7th is our annual homeowners code class, and this is a free class taught by the building official and the city planner. And it's at the community center, May 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. There's information about it in the Parks and Rec guide and the legend. But this is the time of year when homeowners, some of them, we find they get a tax refund and they think about how they want to spend that money, and they want to spend it on maybe a fence, maybe closing in their porch, maybe adding a pool, a new deck, what have you, remodeling the basement, the bathroom, the kitchen, any of those kinds of ideas. And they want to know what permit requirements are, what does the code allow, what doesn't it allow? And so they offer this class to answer those questions. We've had anywhere from And we've been doing it many years now. Usually attendance is around 5, 6 people, so they can really tailor the question and answer to the projects in the room, what they're actually wanting to do. If you attend, you do get a $50 credit towards a future building permit. So we do encourage anybody thinking about doing a project, even if you're gonna hire a contractor to do it, but you just want to kind of know what the rules of engagement are, this would be a great meeting to attend. It's free. It lasts about an hour, I think. And then many of you attended the reception, let's say a week and a few days ago now, for Jane Haven, our code enforcement inspector who retired. This week, we're starting to get questions about who do I call if I have an issue? I want to make a complaint. You would still call the same 747-9135 number and ask for code enforcement. So Tiffany Burr is our code enforcement office professional, and she can take that call and get that case into the system and assign an inspector to go out and investigate. So call the same number, 747-9135, and ask for code enforcement, so we can get that process started for you. We do have one more week, 4 more days, with Brett and I doing inspections, and then our new inspector will start next Monday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we still have, or are we still using the C-Click fix?
For Public Works.
For Public Works?
Yes. There is an online form for nuisance complaints, it's on the city's website, and that will go to Tiffany. We've had that for many years. So a lot of people use that as well.
Thank you. Fire Department activity report, Chief Jennings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Promise this will only be about 30 minutes, so.
Can't wait.
The activity report for March is included in your packet. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. One thing I would like to point out, we have had several fires. They've all been very small. A lot of that's just attributed to fire prevention. In a large fire in an apartment complex that was extinguished with a fire extinguisher, limited a lot of damage there, so. About almost 6 million already this year, subjected to fire loss, and that's under 6,000 actual fire loss. So an exciting number for the city. Other than that, any questions on that, I'd be happy to share. May 17th will be Captain Heppensberger, Randy Heppensberger. He retired. May 17th will be his reception. I don't have it at time yet, but we'll get that out to you as soon as that's set in stone. I spent the last 2 weeks of March at the National Fire Academy in Fire Service Financial Management. It was as exciting as it sounds, but I did learn a lot of very beneficial things that will help not only my role in the fire department, but I think in the city's operation. And then just sharing some good news, exciting news. While I was out there, I received notification I was accepted into the Executive Fire Officer Program. It's kind of the top tier boss level in the fire service. So that's a 2-year program that focuses on leadership of self, leadership of organization, and leadership of community. Then it's finalized with a large capstone research project that will address a local issue, but also help the fire service across the country. So I will start that self-inflicted journey later this year. So
Congratulations.
excited for our community.
It's a big deal.
Congratulations and good luck.
It's great.
And Jim, financial management was a fun class.
It's true.
Councilman Osborne, can you help me out with this one? You have the Warrensburg Arts Commission report in your packet. It is the summary of the last 2 meetings. I am really proud about, and one of the pieces is in front of you this evening, was the activity guide. That was a collaboration effort with the Warrensburg Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Arts Commission. WCVB assisted with the content and the paying of the printing. We're going to be distributing that this week to all the first graders in the Warrensburg School District. We're also going to be distributing it to all of our hotels with a pack of crayons to hand out to youth that get checked in. And then we will hand it out at the Visitor Center, and then the Arts Commission will hand out at various places as well.
Very nice.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll try to keep this 30 seconds or less. So Public Works recently received our pavement sensors. That was something that we had budgeted for. And the pavement sensors will be tools that we'll utilize for allowing us to be able to look at what the pavement temperatures are during inclement weather events. And so it's not only pavement, but it also gives the ambient air temperature as well. And so the way it works currently is that, say if we're predicting snow or ice, a skeleton crew will come and drive around town and understand try to get the lay of the land as to what the streets and the conditions look like. And so we'll take a laser gun, point it at the street, and then kind of understand, oh, okay, it's 33, 34, 36 degrees, whatever that reading is. So with the pavement sensors now, instead of being able to having to come in, you can do that from the convenience of your home. And so you can look and say, okay, it's trending down, then that'll give us an understanding of how we should deploy our resources or what we should do. And so this is just another way to approach it smarter for how we handle inclement weather events. So, thank you.
What thoroughfares or what streets or how?
Yeah.
Where we would deploy those. We're thinking one on North McGuire, one on South, and then we're still trying to figure out where we want to place the third one. So maybe somewhere on the west side, we're thinking, but we're still playing with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Just a couple housekeeping items for me this evening. A reminder that we will not have a meeting on April 22nd. Do apologize for a little bit lengthy agenda tonight, but hopefully we will, you guys will appreciate that we don't have a meeting on April 22nd. Also wanted to note that we did receive our reimbursement for Cooper Boulevard extension from the Hawthorne Transportation Development District. So that was about $1 million that we were able to reimburse for that road project. And then my last item was to thank Mr. Enrico Villegas, who has served the city well for the last 2 years in our Assistant City Manager and Public Works Director role. We wish him the best of luck with the city of Hutchinson, Kansas. He is going back to that side of state line, if you will. Hutchinson is near and dear to my heart. I actually did kindergarten and first grade in Hutchinson, so it is a great community. I have family there. So I'm very happy for them and happy for Enrico. We will be doing not a retirement reception because he is far from retirement, but we will be doing a little goodbye and good luck on April 17th at 3 p.m. So come by for some milk and cookies. If you have spent much time with Enrico, you know that he loves his cookies, and we will probably order a couple extra so that he can stuff his pockets. And be able to have something to take with him on the road as he starts to pack up and leave us for his next chapter in the next journey in city management. So thank you, Enrico.
Thank you.
No more peppers for you.
So just read this, right? Okay. Motion to close part of this meeting pursuant to section 610-021 of the revised statutes of Missouri relating to 1, legal actions, causes of action or litigation involving a public governmental body and or any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys.
Asking for a motion, or that was the motion?
Asking for a
Asking for a
motion.
motion.
Move to adjourn.
Well, no, motion.
We need that motion.
I don't know what the heck.
So moved.
Moved it.
Just say so moved.
Yes.
There we go. So moved. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones.
Yes.
And Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Katie.
Wow, what?
Good.